Welcome to my channel. I have a very exciting interview today. I have BaileyDesignedCo, who is one of the largest digital volume sellers on the Etsy platform with us. She has hit over 3,000 order sale days. She is a mom of four, an incredible human being from all the things that she does on a daily basis with raising children and growing a business and teaching others now on YouTube on how they can start and successfully grow their own businesses with digital and Etsy now. Welcome to my channel, Bailey. To start off, I just wanted to ask, how did you get into the world of digital? I know you have a print-on-demand background, but I guess if you could let us know who you are and how you came into Etsy, maybe print on demand, a little bit of that backstory, and then digital now.
Sure. So originally I was actually a handmade seller. So the background of how I got into the tumbler world was because I actually used to make the physical tumblers. So, and that is both types. So sublimation and I actually brought one, the really glittery type ones with resin, epoxy, and then the kind that I design for now, which are sublimation. And I moved to print on demand because at the time I was pregnant with my third child, and it was just not feasible as far as scalability or shipping and packaging orders any longer. So I wanted to find something that would take way less time, and I knew about print on demand from before, so I got into print on demand that way after watching tons of YouTube videos and channels, and did that very successfully for about a year and a half, but it was a custom personalizable store. So I found that, and I had very few listings, not even 200 listings, but they were all heavily custom. So I was manually filling orders at the time all day. And then I was getting to the point where I was trying to take care of all these kids. And so then I started looking into the digital side of things because I was like, well, I've made these before. I want to learn how to create the digital part of it. And having no design background at all, I started teaching myself how to actually design for the digital side of it. And then just by like a leap of faith, I just shut down the POD side and just started listing solely digital. That's kind of how the step-by-step progression happened.
Yeah, I love that so much. It is just so amazing that you kind of tried the handmade and then you went into print on demand, and then you found that perfect fit in the digital space.
Yes.
And that's what I've heard from a lot of subscribers and students is it kind of goes hand in hand, the skill sets of print on demand and digital, from what at least I've seen with my students. I've had students from the digital world go into print on demand and have high success. And then I've had students from print on demand and subscribers that have said, oh, I went to digital and just magical things happen from, you know, the design you learn, and just the strategies is very kind of similar. As far as listing, you know, and ads and social media, email marketing, and all that. I guess the next question I have is, how much, if you don't mind sharing, how much revenue would you say that in total you've earned on Etsy from, or maybe just your digital store, whatever you're comfortable with sharing, of course?
I would say, I mean, we will hit over the past year and a half. It's definitely over $1 million as it being just a purely digital shop, because I just took down all the POD listings. It's the same shop and I just switched it completely to digital. So, I mean, all in all, with the print on demand sales, it's probably at least 1.5 is what we've made. And then we're halfway through this year. So we'll see what it ends up being at the end of this year.
Wow, that is amazing. And so you started BaileyDesignedCo last year or the year before?
I switched it to the Bailey Designed in January of 2022.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
That's when the digitals happened. And then from the year before that was the POD.
And you were top ranked shop on, I think, on most like E-Rank and tools for multiple times, right? It was like
a few times, yes.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. I like, so for those watching, I found Bailey through her YouTube channel. It is linked in the description. Please go check out her videos. She is a wealth of knowledge. You will not go wrong in finding her videos and just watching them and learning from her, because I was just so inspired by finding your channel. And I couldn't believe it, because I looked on eRink and I was like, no, that can't be BaileyDesignedCo. I was like, and then I looked and you made a video and you were like, this is my shop. And I was like, and then I went on eRink and I was like, this is a top seller right now. And then I went to your channel and I was like, okay, she is legitimately BaileyDesignedCo. This is so, like, I was starstruck, and I knew I had to reach out. I was like, do you want to come on my channel? Because I feel like you were like, I have a lot to learn from you, not just my subscribers. This is me being selfish. I just want to learn from you as well. So when you started with your digital business, so you started from 0 listings again, right? In January?
Yes.
Wow. And how many listings were you doing, would you say, per month last year, I guess?
By March, which is when I hit the first 5-figure month,
wow,
I had 500 listings up by March. So I would just sit down every day and do 10 listings. And I am a perfectionist, and I would, make 10, delete 5. Because I would have it in my head that it wasn't good enough and that it needed to be better. So I would keep, taking some down. But by the time I got to March, it was about 500. And just because in the category that I'm in, they need every type of style and holiday and season possible. So, and occupation, it's pretty much anything. So that's very lucky, because you don't have to stick in one lane. And once I saw the success happen in March, I was just like, oh, I mean, if I just start doubling this, and then I just got even crazier and was just like 20 a day, 30 a day sometimes. But that is the beauty with digital. You can go a lot faster. And with the tools I had and that I was using, it was a lot of bulk uploading. So it was easy. I say easy now that I think about it, but I'm very used to it now. So
yeah, man, I did not know that you started a year and a half ago until this moment. I was this year old when I found this out. Like, I feel bad. I have eRink pulled up in my second window about how long your shop's been open, but I thought for some reason that you were open like way longer, like 10 years when I found your shop. So that is amazing. So for those watching, it is possible to start now. I mean, that's what we were kind of talking about before we went live here with the recording, but it's just amazing that you are proof that you can change your store. You can use an old shop and just delete the listings, re-upload. That is just so inspiring and cool. And I'm just so happy that you started in digital and this magical world opened up. So were you running ads when you first started, or did you start your social media last year? What was kind of the thing that you think that really revved up the sales?
I did have several listings that went viral in our world. And so I turned the ads on just those ones that were just selling, like crazy. And only at like $5 a day, but a lot of listings. So that's something that I teach, like to ramp up very slowly and make sure that you add, remove strategically. But in the beginning, those first 3 months, I did not. Those was all organic, because I know a lot of people say that from the beginning you have to. Now in this year, it might be a different story, just because it's a different market for the tumbler wraps. And I do say it will be a little bit different. But last year, I mean, there were still people with shops with 100,000 sales, people with 50,000. I was walking, it's not like there wasn't any competition, but it was just about finding those designs where there, a gap in the marketplace that an audience wasn't being served, and a lot of keyword research to find those particular designs that were, not being served for.
Yeah, that is true. I think that is, something I feel like I am usually commented about saying niche a lot on my channel, and I mispronounce it. I know or not mispronounce it, but there is that debate of, is it niche or is it niche? And like you said, finding that audience, I feel like maybe I should just start saying audience, because that's probably, I won't get, added in the comments about niche versus niche.
Oh, I say niche. It's
yeah.
niche.
Yes, team niche. Yes, yes. We have another team niche person on the channel. I feel like I'm the worst on my channel with that. But so anyways, I love that you mentioned about finding the audience that is very underserved. And that was something like in the medical field, for example, for MRI, I worked as an MRI technologist. And this was one thing that I could not find anywhere when I was looking for a coworker gift, or even for my own self, like to say, hey, I graduated from MRI school and I want to like take a graduation picture with this sweatshirt on. I could not find that. And I was like, well, this is an underserved niche. I'm going to make designs for it. And that's kind of how you can look at it, for people watching going forward. What underserved areas and niches and audiences are there out there? And I like that you said keyword research too. So do you mind sharing what types of keyword research tools you've used to kind of find those areas?
Yeah. I mean, originally I was an E-Rank girl all the time. But last year I did get on the Everbee train, and I love it because I just love to see numbers and their functionality to be able to see exactly the type of revenue, before sales and stuff like that. I like to be able just to look at that before I'll even, put it on the list or consider it, because at this point in the game, I don't really like to waste time with things. So those are the two that I use all of the time. I've tried the Everbee keyword part of it too, but I still always end up going back just to either double check in E-Rank or just kind of cross analyze just to see, so.
Yeah, same. That's so funny, because that is literally my strategy for print on demand research too, where I will look on Everbee and then I'll go back to E-Rank and kind of just see the keywords, and it's just analyzing that data, seeing the little cute bar graphs of when, you're seeing the peak keyword research, and it's like, okay, that's good to know. And, you'll go on Everbee and it will be like, oh, this listing has maybe like way lower sale volumes this month, but I know from E-Rank it's going to go up in the next few months. So I love that you mentioned that, and that aligns completely with what I kind of say on the channel as well. I love being validated with some of my research methods, because I'm like, I don't, because you always wonder like, what's the best tool? Yeah. And so for design and all of that, I've seen on your channel, you've done beginner, mid-journey tutorials and all of the things. So do you primarily design and do mock-ups in Photoshop, or is it Canva? What tools have you used for those?
Well, for design, I am using, prior to January of this year, I hadn't touched AI, and I was just like kind of scared of it. And everybody in the design space last year was talking about it at the end of the year. And I started seeing a lot of my competitors using it because it is recognizable. And it was kind of like, not that I have a, on one side of the fence, right or wrong type thing about it, but I preach, I am not a designer. I did not go to school for this. I had no design background. I am 100% YouTube self-taught. Because so with the arrival of AI and just the ability that's allowed me to do things where I just utilized things like Creative Fabrica, which I still do use a lot of the times, or other commercial use sites. It's just opened up a lot more possibilities and sped up the work process just like astronomically. So I would still say it's like 50-50. So I will use Midjourney and then I'll use Kittl to put together all of the design. And I ended up, like, I always was Canva, but I switched to Kittl just because they have more functionality as far as like how it can be saved. And then their licensing is a lot more clear. And then they do have a lot of, like, their AI tool is better than Canva's. So if you compare, it's just, And so I've been slowly moving. I have, you know, hundreds of folders in Canva. So it's just about like now moving everything over to Kittl, because that's kind of my go-to as far as design. And then for mock-ups, Photoshop, and it will bulk mock up everything in, you know, a minute. So you just have to have it set up. And then I've used my designs as well, especially last year when I was doing just tons and tons of new designs, trying to just get as many out there. I did use their functionality to bulk mockup and product list. And I don't use them now as much because I'm not doing as much, but I use them.
I love the dog. The dog cameo. It's beautiful.
She came. So I use my designs for a lot of other reasons now, though. Just things that they have that are very, very helpful in my space. So people, they're like, oh, you have to have so many tools. And I am the worst like example, because I do like to have softwares that do this, that do this. I'm kind of bad where I like, well, but I like it because this one does this and it's separate. And that's just how I work. I probably don't need everything that I have, but it works for my workflow. So
yeah, I love that. I'm in the same area and transitionary period with Canva. I know I saw your tutorials using Canva, so that's why I said Canva, but I know I've seen you do tutorials of Kittl now too. So that's where I was curious, because I'm in the same boat where I've been transitioning slowly to Kittl for the design capabilities as well, and also AI. So that's great to know. It's so cool how many softwares are jumping into the digital and print-on-demand bandwagon, especially same with Creative Fabrica. Like, I think all of these tools just are so seller friendly now and just business friendly. But thank you for sharing the tools. I have been just kind of the same with so many different tools. Like, I have Adobe, I have Canva, I have Kittl, but I guess it's just scaling up too, right? I mean, I don't know if you've been the same where, like, I started with Canva on the free plan, and then I started with like all the free trials. And then over time, once my business started seeing that revenue and profit, I was like, okay, I can reinvest into Adobe and then reinvest into Kittl or a different software. So that's one thing to note for people watching or listening is, you know, it's always good to maybe scale up as well. You don't have to have all the trinkets, bells and whistles, but sometimes it can help, you know, speed up the process. So I guess my next question, and one of my last few questions, I promise I only have a few more for you to respect your time today. As far as when you were scaling and when you started BaileyDesignedCo and did the transition to digital for your social media, did you start that last year, or did you have your social media for a while prior to that?
No, and that's a big thing that I tell everyone too, that start it from the beginning, because I did not start it till it was May. So I had the first big month in March, and I started everything in January, and then I figured out, I was just like, you know, I should probably, I'm having so many repeat people coming back and buying. And I was like, I should really start an email list, because then I can email them when I have new designs and I'm not, you know, worrying about them coming back to the shop. And then I was like, and I also know this audience just because I've made these products before. I know that they're all in Facebook groups. So I was like, I'm going to start my own Facebook group. So I did both of them in May. And the Facebook group is about 8,500 people. And then the email list is like 18,000 people. So that just shows you that people are way more willing to give their email out and respond to email versus joining a Facebook group or following you on TikTok or Instagram. On the days that I send out an email to my list, I try to show what happens, and it's just kind of crazy because email still converts like crazy. And I know people don't like to hear that. It's really nerdy, but about marketing. But I was like, it just works. And that's something that you own, where you're not, you know, worrying about the Facebook algorithm or something happening in your group or on TikTok. You have that email list, and it's kind of a backup, because I tell my people, I could get kicked off of Etsy for whatever reason, you know, who knows, but I have that list that I could go tell my people, hey, everyone, now I'm only on my own membership site. And if you still like my stuff and my designs, you can come over here, and, you know, I'll still have a backup plan. That's what I was thinking. So, it's just grown like crazy. And I mean, the Facebook group is utilized every single day, and email about once or twice a week. I try not to flood people with tons of stuff. Just, it's kind of, you kind of just test it out and see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you for sharing that knowledge on and just experience with social media and email marketing, because that's something that was my initial strategy when I began with my Etsy businesses. I started with Facebook, but I had Facebook groups that I entered into and I posted in their groups, and I shared that in the beginning of my YouTube channel. And now I have a lot of people who comment and say, hey, you know, I can't get into these Facebook groups anymore the way that you were able to. How did you do it? And it definitely is a different landscape. Like you were saying earlier about how, you know, the way that we started our businesses is going to be a little bit different now. And that's always going to be apparent every year that goes by with these types of businesses. But one thing that's really important is to have your own control in your business, like you have done with the Facebook. Instead of asking to join a Facebook group and post your own listings, instead, the pro tip might be to just create your own and start your own community. And I love that valuable bit of information, especially for anyone watching. Just create your own Facebook group or Facebook page and start posting, start that community, especially if you're in the audience and the niche that you're trying to create listings for, like you have done. That's very amazing. And even your lead magnet strategy for getting people, because you offer free tumbler wraps if they sign up for the email, and that's a good portion and chunk of how you're getting kind of the consistent signups. Yeah. So that's, again, something, you know, that's very valuable. And thank you for sharing. So I guess one of my other last few questions, I promise I only have 2 left. One of my last questions is, so do you think that the Etsy market is too saturated now for people to enter into the digital space? I know that's kind of our common question in print on demand and digital is it too saturated to enter into right now?
No. I will 100% say no. There are so many examples if you want to look specifically at the sublimation digital print world, where stores have popped up in the last 3 to 5 months and are seeing amazing success. They do have a slightly different strategy than what I would recommend, but they're seeing great results. So that just goes to show you that they can come in as a brand new store and compete with someone like me and still see sales. So it really just comes down to that keyword research, because that's exactly what they're doing, because I know what they do, and the design. And that's something that I don't think is stressed enough. I just really want people to understand that you have to be creating quality designs these days, just because if you want to compete on Etsy and with larger sellers, then you better be able to either create something as good or even bring something better to the table, because that's the only way, I think, to stand out. I'm talking very specifically about my audience, just because I know what they look at and what they want and what they are requesting. But for any other type of digital product too, I do teach people how to create printables, and using that specifically, like things like checklist planners, all the business type assets. The market for those are still so untapped, and people just don't realize it. And they see, you know, big digital planner stores, but if they would just niche down just a tiny bit more, you can find loads of opportunity. So I don't think it's saturated. And I say that I don't believe in saturation, because also this is the way that I think of it. And it might be crazy to some people, but in the tumbler wrap world, people are like, well, how can you keep making hundreds and hundreds of sales every day? And I was like, because someone brand new every day decides to open up a tumbler store and start selling them. And so they're going to need designs. And the first place they go is Etsy. And I also make tons of t-shirt designs, because they also make the sublimation style shirts. And every day, a person, not just a person, tons of people say they want to start a t-shirt business. And so every day people enter the marketplace. So it's a continual new cycle of customers. That's why I just say I don't believe in saturation.
Yeah, I love that so much. Like, I think that is such a great idea to create products for business owners, because I feel like we are in that wave of entrepreneurship that it's very much increasing, and it's empowering the new business owners. And it's kind of almost like an inception for an
Yeah.
Etsy shop, but it's so unique and creative and smart to do and go into is, okay, how can I assist a new business owner? And that's what you're doing in your business, which I
Mhm.
love so much. I guess my last question for you is, let's say that maybe a subscriber or the student is watching right now, they haven't started their shop yet. What tips would you give to that new person that's looking to start in digital, maybe today or this year?
I think, and I did go over this in my own group, and I'll say the same thing. I just really think that everybody should look at creating something that you're either passionate about or that you want to learn about, because so many people just chase like the biggest digital planner thing because that makes this much money, but they have no interest in digital planners or even learning about them. And they get really bored, and they don't see results quick enough. And so they hop to the next thing that they think is going to, be the product or the audience niche for them. So I think that if you take the look at, because see, the tumblers is something I had made. I had customers. I like making them, the physical product. And I, knew all about the different styles and what they used them for. So I think that if you try to choose your product and your niche and audience based on what you like and enjoy creating for or are passionate for, you're going to see more success, because number one, you should have a little bit of, insight into what that customer needs and wants, or you are interested enough in learning about it. And it's just going to make your creation process that much more enjoyable, because you might actually enjoy creating those types of designs instead of just trying to make these checklists that you have no desire to use or care about.
Yeah.
So I know that's probably not what most people want to hear about, but I think that and there are so many audience niches that are underserved that your hobby or what you do like to do probably, someone might not be creating for them yet. So that's always a big opportunity.
Yeah, agreed. I think that is so important, is to create with intention and passion as you go along in your business. I think about that a lot, because even with my print on demand business, like I'm like, why am I still doing a shop? Like it's not really about the money anymore. I mean, it is, but it isn't, because it's something that I still love to do. Like I just like creating designs. That's something that I'm passionate about. Like you, I don't have a design background. I like doing art in high school. I was part of my art club, and I love doing that. But like now looking back, I'm like, this is kind of a hobby in a way too, that became, and I don't know if you could say the same with yours.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. with
Yes.
It's just addictive. It's like, oh, people actually like our designs, and it makes you want to create more. I'm sure when you started your business last year, once you started seeing those sales, it was like, oh, I have more motivation to go back and double down on what's working. I know this is working, so I'm going to do this even more, or go into this niche or audience. I just think that is an amazing last bit of information to share to my audience, and hopefully your future audience. Don't forget to, everyone who's watching, please do follow Bailey on YouTube. Again, I have her link down below. Is there anything else you want to share to my subscribers on like any other links or anything?
Oh no, if everyone would
Yeah.
just visit the channel, that would be great.
Cool. So yeah, so if you're watching, don't forget to follow Bailey on her channel. She is, again, sharing so many beginner-friendly videos to advanced videos on her YouTube on how to start that digital-based business. Bailey, thank you so much for coming on my channel and just gracing us with your time and presence today. I know you're a busy bee with everything you have going on, so thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
Yeah.